that, based on evolving intelligence, Russia may be planning a cyber attack against us.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack.
Hello everyone to the Collective Minds podcast. Just going to do a short single one here. Some information I thought that might be a little bit important. It got me thinking with the whole World Economic Forum and seeing all these talks about cyber attacks from these elites. Made me really wonder what's going on with that. There's got to be some sort of plan for that. Obviously it's going to be a false flag situation, but they have to gameplay it out, and it really got me thinking. So let's talk cyber attacks. So since right before the Ukraine war, it's been told to us that the cyber attacks have been increasingly getting worse and worse across the map. It's been told to us that the more the intensity of the Ukraine war gets, that the more cyber attacks intensity seem to get. They correspond with each other. So what are these cyber attacks, and what would a cyber attack do? Well, cyber attacks are malicious attempts to access or damage a computer or network system. They can lead to the loss of money or the theft of personal, financial, and medical information. These attacks can damage your reputation and your safety. Now, this is for just the standard people as well, if your accounts get hacked, but this could be on have a global kind of effect in this way as well, which I find very interesting with what they're doing with the money and inflation today, is that, quoted here, can lead to the loss of money or the entire network. So pretty much it's just about taking down a network by maliciously disabling computers, stealing data, or using a breached computer as a launch point for other attacks. Now, a doomsday cyber attack scenario would be power facilities taken offline. Now these could be physically destroyed. Even though it was a cyber weapon, it can cause actual damage to these power facilities. So then it got me thinking, what would actually happen if the whole grid went down? Permanently or temporarily, but just on a massive scale. Maybe not the entire country, but big places with a lot of people of high importance. What if these cyber attacks affected their power grid? Alright, so there would be serious economical consequences if the American power grid went down. Even if only a portion of the country lost power, the amount of money lost would be staggering. In addition to the losses due to power grid structural damage, loss of operations, and loss of energy sales, the insurance industry would also be held to pay out substantial sums. The same report estimated that insurance companies would be paying claims that amounted to $21.4 billion to $71.1 billion. Now, in addition to economic losses, a failed power grid would put America's national security at risk, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Even a short-lived attack on the power grid could cause substantial interruptions to security systems and important lines of communication. So there you go, right there. America's national security risk. Taking the files, taking the money. They're talking about here people just not being able to work. It would collapse the entire economy. So the chaos as well that most likely would erupt in our country weakens it from a national security standpoint as well. Refineries and chemical plants are a few sites that have the greatest potential to cause damage if the power grid goes down. That's some scary stuff. So it would be apocalyptic almost, in a way. No money, no water, no power obviously, but it would just affect people in so many different ways, just bombard them. So here we go. Also, sewer systems, traffic lights, and public transportation would suddenly stop working. This lack of basic services could lead to all kinds of disorder in the streets, giving the government an excess of problems to solve. This kind of domestic disruption can leave the country more at risk from outside threats and attacks. So after even all these attacks happen, it weakens us down enough that our enemies could come in and do what they wanted. Another painful reality of a failed power grid is its impact on healthcare. For patients in a hospital relying on machines to stay alive, their lives are immediately at risk if the grid goes down. So pretty much all hell breaks loose, right? And pretty much the more physical conflict is between countries, more cyber conflict is created. And my guess, though, it goes both ways. If they're fighting just with cyber conflict, it leads to physical. So welcome to the newest generation of warfare, people. Or at least, the one that they're gonna let us know they're doing and is out there. So that being said, we're now hearing that Ukraine is on the brink of collapse in 2 weeks, which is very interesting because these elites keep talking about these cyber attacks and they're correlating the cyber attacks with physical attacks. Now Ukraine's about to collapse in 2 weeks. Could that mean the end of the Ukraine-Russia war? Now that doesn't go right with the agenda, does it? If they need to fake a giant cyber attack in some way. My guess is money. Ultimately. Oh, not our fault. Russia did it, right? Russia did it. Now your bank accounts are empty or something like that. But anyways, we got to keep that conflict alive, right guys? If we're going to make this whole plan play out right. So, anyone know of any other conflict that may be happening or about to happen? China and Taiwan. So we got a couple articles here. One of the newest ones is the US has secured access to 4 additional military bases in the Philippines today. A key bit of real estate, which would offer a front seat to monitor the Chinese in the South China Sea and around Taiwan. So now what is China planning when it comes to Taiwan? Just days after a top US military official warned that the United States should be prepared for a war with China over Taiwan in 2025, Beijing on Wednesday conducted the largest incursion of Taiwanese airspace in weeks. Taiwan's Ministry of Defense, National Defense, reported that 34 Chinese military aircraft, along with 9 naval vessels, were detected near the self-governing island at around 3 a.m. 20 of the detected Chinese aircraft had reportedly crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entered Taiwan's Southwest Air Defense Identification Zone, according to the ministry. The median line is at the central point of the Taiwan Strait, has been an unofficial buffer zone between the two sides. However, Beijing insists that Taiwan is a breakaway province that will be returned to mainland control by force, if necessary, despite the fact that the Chinese Communist Party has never ruled the island. Looks like there's a war about to happen once another one stops. Almost timed perfectly, if you ask me. Very interesting.